There's this old sort of mentality of when everybody else is zigging, then you want to zag. And that extra 10% is extremely lucrative if you can strategize a way to be able to go like, I shouldn't be doing, I mean, I see all those people here. I should not be doing the exact same thing as them. So if you make a million videos and they don't match that, you make no money.
I was like, I'm going to just make 500 videos as quickly as I can and then see, like, is this worth it? Do I like this? What did I learn?
There's a real big opportunity there. And the thing is, just because they don't have a campaign on them right now on Amazon doesn't mean they won't. Amazon's pushing this thing like crazy. So there's a good chance that it eventually shows up with a campaign. And if you're the only one looking on Amazon for products without campaigns, because they're still good products, whenever that campaign shows up, you're in a really good position to do that.
What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Side Hustle Experiment podcast. Today we have Fizz here. He is the founder of Oink, the Amazon influencer extension. He has been very clear. He does not want to make this about pitching his software. This is all about the Amazon influencer program, how you can make money doing the Amazon influencer program. So thanks so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
I thought this was a dad joke podcast. I thought you said I could come on and just do dad jokes. I said I don't want to pitch, but I do have some good ones in the hopper. So thank you very much. Appreciate you guys having me on. I've been watching you guys podcast. I don't know if do you call it a podcast? I've been watching the YouTube videos. I guess it's a podcast, right? I mean, it's I've been watching / listening. So I've been enjoying the stuff you guys put out there. So it was honored that you asked me to come on and join you for a little bit.
Yeah, the honor's ours, man. It's awesome. Every time we have somebody that has done any software thing, like I said before, I'm like really interested in that stuff. So that's cool. But give us a little background, like who you are for people that might not know to start this off.
So, in the Facebook groups, they call me Fizz, which was still a thing that's strange to me that I made that up and now people call me that. So that's a thing that's stuck. My real name is Robert. I created the Oink extension. I've been an Amazon influencer for 2.5 years, well, long before Oink was a thing. I started my online journey in like 2021, trying to like, you see all the hype and all the different things of like, I made XYZ online. And I'm just like, there's no way that any of that stuff's real. And I jumped in one time with a blog course that was a really popular blog course at the time, and it was like $600 or $700. In retrospect, that seems nuts that I did that, but I did it. And my brother, whenever I told him about that, he goes, you just like burn that money up, right? And I was like, yeah, I probably did that. And it went well. Like I got really good at learning how to like write blog articles to get them to rank. It's a health and fitness blog that still exists. And it made really good money with affiliate links through my reviews, through like different exercise equipment and stuff. And so that kind of opened my eyes to like, oh, this stuff is real and you don't have to be special necessarily to do it. Like I am not, and I'm here doing it. And so when an Amazon influencer program came across my purview, I saw it, also didn't quite understand what it was, much like the blogging thing and I was like, okay, let's now, because I believed that this stuff existed. I signed up without knowing what I was really signing up for. I submitted my 3 initial videos without understanding anything about the program. And somehow they accepted those. And 2.5 years later, here I am with an extension that I have over 3,000 users now of the Oink extension, and just, it was such a strange thing to get me to this place. I just didn't know any of this stuff was really real until I kind of took a step out with the blog. The blog thing got crushed ultimately back in 2023 with the Google's helpful content up. It still makes a little bit of money, but it was like the first thing I was like, oh, this stuff can work, and you don't have to be a really smart person or a special person. I mean, we're all special in somebody's eyes, I assume, but so that's kind of how I got here and ended up now with you guys.
Cool. For those who don't know, we always get in trouble for this. What is the Amazon influencer program, and kind of explain how it works?
So Amazon influencer, there's two sections of the Amazon system, like the ecosystem, right? There's the affiliate side / associate, basically the same thing, where you sign up with Amazon and they say, okay, now you can take our links, our product links, and go put them places and see if you can drive traffic to our website, right? So that's why a lot of times on blogs and YouTube videos, you'll see, check it out on Amazon, and there'll be a link or something like that, because then if you click that link and you go buy some stuff, then the person that posted that makes a little bit of commission oftentimes. And so that's really what the associate / affiliate thing is. It's really geared towards offsite activity. Whereas the influencer program, it's a little bit like both worlds. A lot of the influencer world tends to focus on what we call on-site content, on-site videos, essentially making videos that you don't have to post anywhere. You don't have to put them on a blog. You don't have to put them on a YouTube channel. You just upload them directly to Amazon, and then Amazon decides if they want to place them on the product when people are shopping. And similar type of thing, if somebody watches your content and then turns around and buys some stuff, even if it's not that exact same thing, then you have an ability to make a commission. The influencer side has a little bit of offsite value, but the majority of people that participate in the influencer program are focused on that on-site thing where they're just uploading it directly to Amazon and letting Amazon decide where to place it.
Yeah. What about how many people do the program? Well, you said you've been doing it for 2.5 years. Have you seen a huge uptick in people doing it, or how's
Yeah,
that kind of
massive. Yeah, and Amazon's still promoting it. I mean, that's one of the things is if I go on like TikTok right now, I'll see an ad that says you're invited to the Amazon influencer program. I'm just like, if I'm getting this, everybody's probably getting. I don't even know what the criteria is for their ads that they're running, but yeah, massive influx over the last, I would say probably once word got out of the I don't want to say ease of use. I don't want to say that it's easy, but what of its accessibility is probably the right term. Once people realized how accessible it was to participate in the program, yeah, floodgates open, and the more and more people that made YouTube channels about it, like me and other people, saying that this is a viable pathway, it caught on pretty quick, and that on top of Amazon promoting it themselves. Definitely. I mean, it's changed so much to where you got someone like the OGs in the influencer program that have been around for 5 years, since whenever it started, and they'll tell you, the game is different now. The process isn't, the structure of the program is not any different, but because there's so many more people now participating, you have to be more strategic than you were 3 years ago because there's more competition, and it requires a bit more thought into like what you're doing on any particular day. I think there was a period of time where strategy wasn't nearly as important because there just wasn't much competition. You could sort of show up and do the things you're going to do, and your return would be significantly decent on those. But like anything else, when more people come in on any industry, and that is your competition, then it puts people, you have to kind of pivot and go like, okay, so this is different now. Even though the rules are the same, I have competition, and that makes me kind of work differently. So yeah, it's definitely seen a pretty significant influx over, I would say, probably the last year and a half, especially. And I don't expect that to be slowing down anytime soon.
Yeah, you think it's still early?
I mean, it's hard to say with anything online. I mean, I mean, I think so because one, Amazon still seems hell-bent on the program working, right? They still seem, and frankly, I think sometimes they don't quite understand their own systems, and they're still working on their systems to make them better. So they seem to have an interest in continuing to grow the program and make it easier and better for influencers to use. So that makes me think that probably yes, because if that was not the case, you'd feel a slight bit of abandonment, I think, from Amazon, where they just go, so what? Like, this thing isn't going to be around for very much longer. But the fact they're promoting it, especially, that to me is probably the biggest green flag here, that they're typically not going to be promoting something that they feel like isn't long term or have viability long term on their side, because that's just why would they want to do that? And on top of that, they are promoting the heck out of creator connections right now. I mean, they are, and if you don't know what creator connections is, we'll probably get into that here in a little bit, but that program for Amazon is viable for offsite and on-site both, and they are very, very interested in continuing to grow that. And they just recently included verbiage for the influencer side in relation to creator connections, which is the first time they've ever done that. So we're seeing new things from Amazon in relation to how they want to include the influencer program in more and more things. And so I would say that it's early. I would say that it's evolving, though, at the same time, right? The thing that we see right now, I don't expect, I'm sure we'll probably get into this in a little bit, I don't necessarily expect it to look this way in a year, but as far as an entity itself and an opportunity, yes, that's a very long answer to a fairly short question. So hopefully that wasn't too convoluted of an answer.
No, that was great.
All right.
Yeah, in terms of, like you said, you saw a lot more people come on. And so, do you think it's saturated? We see all that. You're in all the Facebook groups as well. Oh, you can't make money. This is a dying opportunity. What do you say to that?
Yeah, they're wrong. I mean, it depends on the effort that you want to put into it, right? Like if you're somebody that comes in, and again, this probably is a little bit because the initial early on, a lot of the word that got out about this was how passive it was, right? And though it was easy to do, like that was a lot of the stuff that was going on around there. So if you come into this and you assume that that's the case and that's the sort of effort that you put into it, you're going to get that same energy back. And you're going to look back and just go, man, this program sucks. And you're going to blame it on the program. Whereas I can tell you from firsthand experience and also people that I participate with, mastermind groups, whatever the case is, that there are people making very more than me, more than, I mean, because they're strategic, right? They looked at what was going on with the program and they went, oh, there's a lot of opportunity here if I XYZ. We'll talk a little bit about that, I'm sure. So I have not ever been a believer that this is so oversaturated that because the reality is when something becomes oversaturated, the majority of people in those in those situations are all doing the same thing, right? When you see saturation, typically you're going to see 90% of those people are participating in whatever they're all together, and you see them all kind of shift. And there's this old sort of mentality of when everybody else is zigging, then you want to zag, and that extra 10% is extremely lucrative if you can strategize a way to be able to go like, I shouldn't be doing. I mean, I see all those people here. I should not be doing the exact same thing as them because they're all taking a piece of the pie of their own pie. I don't want their pie. Phrasing's awful. I want to be over here doing my own thing and creating my own thing. So yeah, there's 0% part of me that believes that this is so oversaturated that there's no longer opportunity. If anything, everybody gets so distracted by what everybody else is doing. That's actually more opportunity for me because I don't get swayed by that stuff. I know how the program works. I know what Amazon says moves the needle. And again, long answer to a short question, but no, there's a lot of opportunity in the program. But for those that are willing to commit to the processes, right? I mean, my first year in the program, I don't know if there was a day that I didn't do something in the program, right? And that's whenever I had a full-time salary job, whether it was doing product research, most of it was uploading content, and doing that. But there wasn't a day. I mean, I committed to the process, and that goes back to what I was saying, I think before about the energy you put in is going to match, or the effort you put in is going to match. You're going to get a certain amount of energy back off of that. And so a lot of it also has to do with that too, right? The program can't work if you're not working it. So there's several different kind of things that go there together, I think.
This is a perfect segue because I'm not in the I don't do any of it, but John is obviously big on it, and like we've had people on that talk about it, and I've always had this question of, isn't this, let's say, and my understanding is terrible, so just preface with that,
Okay.
but everybody posts these videos and there's no competitive edge because Amazon just picks these random videos to go to the front. So the more people that join, it just does saturate these videos. Then like there's only so many fast moving products. But as I've came to the understanding, that's not exactly how it works. And that seems like way opposite from what you're saying. So explain to me why that math problem that I've worked out that's not right is not right. Like, so how do you make yourself advantage over other people instead of just like, okay, just post random videos all day?
So part of it goes back to what I was saying about the oversaturation, how the majority of people do all the same things. When you talk about like product saturation, right? So let's say, for example, you're going to go and buy something right now, like personally, or any of the three of us, and let's say it's a collagen protein. I don't know why that's the first thing that came to my brain. Most people are buying Vital Proteins brand. I mean, 90%, 80% of people are buying that one particular brand. They're all kind of going in the same direction. And so for me, let's say that I'm an influencer and I'm looking to make content, and I can choose the Vital Proteins thing, which sells very well, right? But it's oversaturated to the dickens. Like there's not even hardly opportunity there because it's oversaturated, but it's selling a lot. Or we have this other secondary one that maybe there's 10% of the people. If 80% of people are buying Vital Proteins, maybe there's 10% here, but it's like, it's not fancy, it's not sexy, it's not selling the same sort of volume that the Vital Proteins is. But because you have viability, you have visibility opportunity, you can actually be there and probably not get pushed out for a while because people are all so horned up for the Vital Proteins thing. They're going to notice the one that you did, but it's going to take them longer to be able to get there. So for me, one of my favorite things to do is like walk the tightrope between all of these things. It's not always about the fast moving products. In fact, I would argue that a lot of times the fast moving products are some of the worst to participate in, because the shinier the object, the more people are drawn to it. And you're talking about, if I'm an Amazon influencer and I see, this power bank sitting here and I can see that it's selling 10,000 units a month, I don't care if there's no influencers on it right now. If I say yes to that right now, I can tell you what it's going to look like in about 5 days, and it's going to be packed. It's going to be totally packed. But if the same thing is selling 700 units a month, it's just not nearly as attractive to other influencers. Now, it's still selling, and that's what I ultimately care about in the end. So I actually prefer to kind of try to find this sweet middle ground of like, I mean, look, if something's selling 10,000 units a month and there's no other influencers on it, I'm going for it. I also have a very good understanding of what that's probably going to look like in a couple of days. My expectations are pretty tempered. But there is, one of my things I always kind of talk about is my first month in the program, my first full month in the program. I made over $2,000 in the program, and I made 140 something videos. Now, that sounds like it's awesome and like I was onto something. I thought I was, and I misread the data. And I'll explain why here in a second. But it was a $10 item predominantly that kicked that off. It went nuts because nobody else cared about that thing. In that, it was an outdoor plastic receptacle cover, and it was like May, like getting ready to turn into summer, and nobody cared because it wasn't doing much at that point. It wasn't a sexy product. You know what I mean? Like, who cares about an outdoor electrical cover? And it went bonkers. And so for me, there is oftentimes more value in products that aren't the craziest selling products, because other influencers are just slower to notice those things, and you'll get pushed out eventually, but not as fast as if something is, like you said, fast moving, right? If something is fast moving, you're gonna be fast in and fast out of that thing, and you're not gonna have a lot of time sitting there. So I really kind of like these sort of middle ground types of products that, Amazon tells us what the rules of this program are ultimately, right? And they say there's two things that move the needle in the Amazon influence when you're talking about on-site videos. And they say the product has to be selling, right? If the product's not selling, Amazon doesn't make money. Why would they pay us if they're not making money? So the product has to be selling first. The second thing is your video has to be able to be seen. So you got selling and seen. And so whenever I'm looking at products, I have to look at it in terms of like, do I have visibility opportunity on this particular product, right? If there's already packed to the gills with other influencer videos, where am I going to go? Unless Amazon takes mercy on my video and actually then does the opposite for somebody else's video and kicks them out and puts me on there for a little bit. Unless they do that, I don't have a shot at that upper carousel. And even if they do that, how long am I going to be there for? Because there's already so many people there. So it's a simple system. Amazon says what it takes to move the needle. It becomes more of like interpreting then the products that you're willing to work with. And it takes a little bit of time to kind of learn how to look at these products through that lens and go like, well, what is this product doing right now? And what is it most likely going to be doing here in 2 weeks or 30 days? And that takes a little bit of time to figure some of that. Frankly, sometimes through trial and error. That first 30 days in the program, for me, I thought I was winning, but I was actually losing, because even though I made $2,000 my first month, I thought that I knew how the program worked. I was like, I did it. If I make another 140 videos, I'll make $4,000. And it wasn't the case, because I misinterpreted the results and I put together a strategy based off of things that were just frankly incorrect. I didn't realize how important product selection was, and learning these things about looking at a product and going, is this one going to move the needle or is it not? I thought I was getting paid for my efforts overall, and that just wasn't the case. It was just because some products did some stuff that was it took me a year to learn that lesson. And once I learned it, I was like, oh, now I understand why product selection and opportunity is so important.
Can you talk a little bit more about that? Because I see this a lot, and it's like you said, all right, I made, let's for easy numbers, I did 200 videos, made $2,000. Therefore, if I make 400, I'm going to make 4,000. This is like you starting to see this like recurring term. Yeah. Like, okay, I'm just going to double. We're going to go quick. Can you kind of talk a little bit about that? Because I think people get confused. I thought the same exact thing when I started, and yeah, 3,000, 3,500 videos later, that is not the case.
Yeah.
Before we get into that, I wanted to let you know I created a totally free guide to get approved for the Amazon Influencer Program, how to scale it up, how I literally went from $0 to $50,000 in just Amazon commissions alone. There'll be a link down below. The guide is absolutely free. It's about 33-ish pages, and I have a whole video walking you through the whole guide. So if you want to start making money on the Amazon Influencer Program, definitely click the link below.
I think some of that comes from the old old school folks, the OGs, that was the thing, right? The volume was more important because there wasn't a lot of competition. So, I mean, the bigger the net, there just wasn't anybody else out there fishing. So you just caught more fish all the time. And so whenever things got more strategic, one of the things I see a lot of my videos is you can make 1 million videos. And if those products are not meeting those two criteria that Amazon says matter, it's got to be selling and it's got to be seen. So if you make 1 million videos and they don't match that, you make no money, right? And so, or let's say you made $5 off of 1 million videos, and you go, if I make another 1 million videos, I make $10. But ultimately, it all boils down to the products that you're making content for. You can make one video that pops, and frankly, that was one of my big lessons I learned. If I had done one video on that plastic receptacle, I would have probably made just about as much money with that one video as I did the other 130 something that I make, because the other 137 weren't doing me nothing anyways. So it's a volume times opportunity situation, right? It's a thing where you go, I need to make as much content as I can, but I need to be smart about the products that I'm making content for, because if they all suck, if they're all doing nothing, if nobody's buying them, then like what, I'm losing money because I'm spending time on these now. But if you can figure that out, if it's the volume, do as much of as many videos as you can of products that are meeting those requirements. That's where the money ends up getting made, versus I just need to keep making videos. And if you have no consideration for the products, a lot of us that have been around for a little bit can tell you what this is going to look like in about 6 months. Is you're going to turn around like I did after a year. It took me too long to realize what was going on, where I looked back and I went, I missed the product part of this whole thing, because I was working hard. I mean, I was, like I said, every day for a year doing mostly uploading. And I look back and I was like, why did this not move? Like, why did my commissions not scale with my energy and effort that I was putting into it? Something is missing. And then I was like, oh, I missed the product part of it. So yeah, the volume on its own, just, it doesn't mean anything anymore, because you can get a lot of products, right, and do a lot of content for stuff, but you are going to look back eventually if you're not vetting those products ahead of time and qualifying them to make sure that they're going to most likely move the needle. Influencer program is not going to take you anywhere.
What about KPIs on the videos? So like, this is one thing I've thought of too. And I always ask people this, like, how many videos do you have and how much do you make per month? So like, what's your dollar per video? And I guess if you like set a KPI of like, okay, if you know somebody, let's say they made 1,000 videos and they're making $1,000 a month, $1 a video, they're underperforming what they should be doing. Where like, if you have 1,000 videos, you should be making $5 a video. Or do you have some kind of number where it's like, how can you tell if you're wasting your time? Because, I guess it's easy, especially you guys really have an understanding of like, okay, I'm making a good video on a good product, but how would I know that if I'm just like, have no clue about anything, right?
Yeah, I don't have any metrics for anything like that. And I think a lot of it's because everybody's journey is so unique, right? Because a lot of it, like, our commissions, us here, anybody else is out there, they're going to vary by the types of product selection that they're doing, right? And what somebody might deem as profitable for one might not necessarily be profitable for somebody else. So for example, if I make a video and I'm making, let's say 30 cents per video, depending on what that product was, I might feel like that's a really good thing that I didn't think was going to pop at all. I might have thought like, man, this thing ain't going to make me nothing. If it turns out I'm making 30 or 50 cents a day, I might go, I can't even believe that. I'm going to make $20 on this thing at the end of the month. $20 doesn't sound like a lot, but if I'm looking at that particular video, that would be probably a win. I mean, I'd rather not do those types of videos, but in that particular case, whereas somebody else might look at that and just go like, if that's only $20 and that's not a successful metric for me, that's not enough. I need to kind of do more. So it really kind of depends from person to person. I don't think that there's a metric like that ultimately for me, also partly because I'm fairly unorganized, I don't keep track of a lot of stuff. I'm very much a move forward, growth minded kind of thing, where I'm just like, create, keep an eye on the number, the main number at the end of the month, whenever the commissions come in. And if that's still doing the thing that I want it to do, generally I'm just like, keep doing the thing that I'm going to do. But I just don't think that there's the only thing that I would say for people predominantly is like, in this program, because if you start getting too wrapped up in this stuff too early, especially when you're talking about commissions made or not made or whatever the case might be, it might go back to my example. I made really good money in that first month, and I created systems based off of incorrect assumptions based off of what I was seeing within that first month. And so I try to tell people like, look, within like those first 500 videos that you make, like just put your head down. Don't even worry about the commission stuff, because one, you're still learning the process and how the system works. You're learning how to do the product research. You're learning all the ins and outs. And if you pay too much attention to the overall commission that you're making or individual commissions per pieces of video that you're more likely to get led astray or create systems and strategies that are incorrect because your sample size is just too small. So I'm just like, save it, put your head down, do the work up to 500, let the commissions be what they're going to be at that point. And then like at 500, turn around and look at what you've got and look at what you've built up at that point and see you, because you start to get a feel for it a little bit. You know, John might be able to attest to this. Like as you go forward with this program month after month, you start to kind of get it. There's a flow that starts to happen, and you can tell when things are doing what they're supposed to or whenever things are not doing what they're supposed to. And it's really hard to, I think, assess that too early on in the program. So I just ask people, you know, get to that 500 and then create your strategy based on your V2. Take what you saw on V1 whenever you turn around and look at it and go, here's what's working, here's what's not. And now I can feel it a little bit. Like I can feel myself in whatever flow that I'm currently in. So I don't have any specific numbers like on a per video case or whatever. Everybody's just so unique. And truthfully, a lot of it also has to do with like my storefront. I don't remember how many videos I got now. 3,000 people got like 10,000 videos, whatever it is. A lot of it will depend on when they realize and change their strategy to adapt to things that worked. Because then what happens is, let's say my first 1,500 videos sucked. Like they just did, because I wasn't doing the product research. But after that, I turned it up a notch. But if you look at the videos as a whole, then my overall price, like income commission per video, is lower than it should be, because of those first 1,500 or whatever the case is. They were stinking. They're just booty, right? And so what happens is it's hard to then take an entire sort of somebody's storefront and go, well, what are you earning per video? Because it really is more of a what have you done for me lately type of thing with the Amazon Influencer Program, which it should be, right? Because in that way you can kind of go like, okay, I can tell that I'm earning, because I'm earning more now. My strategies that I've adapted are increasing my numbers. I see my numbers going up, and you just almost have to take what you learn off the ones that were not serving you well and use those to implement into whatever you're kind of doing next. So I think from an entire storefront, here's my full library or my storefront of videos. This is how they're performing individually. I think you almost just have to, it is a very much like, what have you done for me lately situation with the program.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. And that was I'm happy to hear that, because that was kind of my thoughts when I first started. I was like, I'm going to just make 500 videos as quickly as I can, and then like see, like, is this worth it? Do I like this? What did I learn? Instead of being like, oh, I made 25 cents today and have five.
Yeah.
Is that really worth it? Was just like, no, I'm just making 500 videos and see what happens. And I do agree with you a lot too. There's just so many different considerations to take. Like a couple of months ago, I got this generator, and on Amazon it was selling for like $2,000. Doesn't mean anything. Like I have something called Keepa. You can see it launched 8 days ago, and I was like, I'm not going to make any money off of this, but I sold it for $1,000 on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah.
Playing a different game. Like
Yeah.
I could care less whether that sells. I'd rather have $1,000 cash.
Yeah.
And
And
then
you got
that's just
content
another
for it
example.
now, right? Now you got a video for it. So if it does sell a little bit,
Exactly.
right, you've got money in the pocket already. So you're winning, and then whatever it makes on top of that. Yeah, absolutely. It's I think that the interesting thing for me about product research, kind of the way that you're talking about there, is I think for me, realizing what was going on with the product side of stuff and making these sort of decisions. A lot of these videos, or the products, when I'm looking at them, I'm looking at them based off of their past history, right? I mean, somebody can make an argument to say, well, but if you keep making videos, even if you're not vetting the products ahead of time, some of them will eventually start to sell, right? And I think, and which is true. I mean, they could eventually start to sell, even if they're not yet. Like if they're a new product, maybe in some examples, like that just hit the market. For me, I have always been probably more risk adverse with that, where I'm just like, if I want something to sell in the future, it's that whole past behavior dictates future, whatever that thing is. And so I typically go for if it's been doing something, I'm going to expect that it's going to continue to do something similar. And for me, a product that has a heartbeat in the past and is already doing something, it's much harder for something to get a heartbeat, right? Where something is like nothing and turn it into something, whereas something that's already going with the flow of things is just easier for me. So I think that to me would be sort of like my why I focus on these things. I know that somebody's going to eventually go, yeah, right, bud. I did a video for something not selling, and now look at me. They're going to be on a vacation because something went bonkers and sold a bunch of units for them. I'm glad. I would love to hear that report and them prove me wrong. It's not even prove me wrong. I'd like to see them buck the trend, right, of that. But I think for me, that's why I focus so much on, again, going back to Amazon's 2 rules that move the needle. It's got to be selling, and it's got to be seen. And I focus on the ones that give me the highest probability of doing that.
Well, I guess maybe we're going to have to talk about the extension. Is this what the extension does, is help with this process that you're talking about? Because I'm not aware of this extension, but so what's the whole What does it help with there? Because you seem so educated on this program compared to like most people I've ever talked to about this thing. Like you really have a strategy for it.
Thank
So
you.
that
I'm good at saying words in a good order, which is the worst way to say it. I butcher that. I butcher that. Me good at words. Well, a lot of it was, there's this long time ago, I was a musician in my 20s. We traveled and did a whole bunch of stuff. And this is something I've always carried with me. There was a day where we were sort of on this verge of going to like the next level. And, we were from a small town, kind of whatever. We were down in our basement doing a practice thing. And we had this conversation where it's like, we know that we're on the edge of going to the next level of something, but we can't rely anymore on our friends and family telling us that we're good or that our song that we just wrote is good. We have to become critical at what we're actually doing here. If we want to grow, we have to be honest about what the situation is here. And I think that for me is something that I've always internalized and taken with me of like, whenever it comes to this program, it's easy to not try to take any blame whenever things are not going well, right? Because if I put it on Amazon's shoulders of, well, Amazon's XYZing or this product is XYZing, whatever, I think that I take things so personal, not in a way where I'm down on myself, where I'm just like, somebody told me a long time ago that, ultimate responsibility is finding fault where you actually have none. And I think for me, it's whenever I think about this program and the things that I'm doing on a particular day, I feel like there's a place that I can fix it. I always feel like there's a place that I can make the thing better. And I'm not always just reliant on some other source. It might be Amazon's fault sometimes. And I just can't let myself get into that mentality. So the things that I've learned over the course of it's just because I internalize a lot of stuff. And I'm just trying to see it as critical as I can and just go, what's the real answer to like what's working and like what's not working? So I appreciate you saying that. The extension thing was something that, I designed the extension originally for myself. I was again, going back to, I have a problem. I think that I can solve it myself. And I wrote it and was doing things on my own. And it turned, honestly, what it is now, I did not expect it to turn into. It turned into something that was way bigger. Apparently there was a big need in the influencer community that needed some help here. And because I am an influencer first I built it through those eyes, of me being critical, like what matters and what doesn't, and what actually can help make money. And so what the extension ultimately does is it tries to draw some of those. One, if there's money sitting on the table, if you're an Amazon influencer, one of the things that we've realized, John, maybe you can attest to this as well, is money comes in more directions maybe than we realize in the Amazon influencer program, right? We get so sort of focused on like one particular aspect of it. And now with the inclusion of like the creator connections boom and all this different stuff, there's a lot of different places where there's actually little bits of money sitting out there. So that was one of the things, was I wanted the extension to be able to find those easier for people. A lot of the people in the program are doing this program because they're struggling. Like they have, they're trying to put food on the table or get some more Christmas gifts or whatever the case is. And I felt like that I had something that could increase that for people. And so that was part of it. I want to take that money off the table and put it into people's pockets. And ultimately, one of the things is people get out of the program too fast because they don't understand how things work. And I think a lot of those people could have been really successful if they had a better understanding of some of the tools that in the program and how things worked, and just simplified the entire thing. And so that was also part of the extension purpose, was I keep trying to put stuff into it that people don't realize exist, or that can take the thing that they're already doing and juice it, for lack of better terms, squeeze it for everything that it's possibly worth. So it was something that I originally, I was not intending, like I said, I didn't think that it was going to get here. I was never even going to monetize it at one point. This was something that I was going to use. It had a couple of like very basic free features in the beginning, and I was going to use it to drive traffic to my YouTube channels and my Facebook and grow those things. And whenever I found out I was getting laid off from my job in April, I've been there for 7 years. It was a startup restaurant tech. I love the company. I was the fourth person in the company. And when it came time for cuts, you've been around for a long time. Certain people get on around the table. And so that was, I kind of had to take a look at what I was doing with the extension, and people were asking me to do also, and I wasn't charging anything for it at that time. But it was very basic. But people were like, hey, can you do this? Can you do this? And I was looking around going, I can't spend any more time on this if I'm losing my job. Even though I was doing well in the influencer program, you still lose a salary job, and it's still a major sort of like, you got to readjust yourself physically, financially, mentally, emotionally, everything. So it was sort of at that point where I was just like, I can continue to work on this if I if I monetize it. And so that's ultimately why I ended up doing it. And I kept those initial free features free. The ones that I said when people downloaded that, I said I was not going to charge them for that. Those remain so if you get the free version, those same features are still there because I wanted to stay true to my word. I told people like, hey, if you download this with these features here, I'm not going to charge you for this. And so it allowed me to keep that and also build then on top of it. And people supported. Like I appreciated, I've been working on the channel for a little bit, and people, I think, bought into maybe the messaging and maybe saw some early returns on some of the things I was saying. So yeah, that's kind of how we ended up here. But ultimately, it's always been to help. Like I said, I'm an influencer first that happened to build a tool and I do everything that I do in that extension through the eyes of an influencer that's trying to go like, okay, is this thing going to move the needle? Is this thing actually going to make their thing better? Can they fix more videos? Can they upload more videos? Can they expand their fingerprint online? And that's why I did it.
Yeah, I feel like, so do you have like a tech background? Or like, do you code the whole thing yourself? Or like,
I have a
know
nerd.
nothing about tech. So like,
Yeah.
there's so much I'd want to do, but like, I'd have no idea where to get started.
I have a nerd background. Does that count? Like just the dork. I'm a dork. that sort of my dork background. Sort of. I've just always been when I was a kid. I was obsessed with the early Nintendo. And we had a computer at the house, and I was really interested in like RPG games, the early like Sierra games. That most people won't know what that is probably, but and then so I've just always I was actually a real estate agent for maybe it's 12 or 13 years, and I was always just sort of locally known as like the tech guy within that stuff because I just whenever I saw a problem, I didn't know how to solve it. I could figure it out through, and if people had computer problems or kind of whatever. So then whenever I got hired on at the restaurant tech company, I was doing all sorts of stuff in there. I was never a coder. I mean, I knew enough to be dangerous, and I was around it enough. And ultimately what happened was I ended up being like in their product department. I was in all sorts of different sections. I ended up in product, which I've always just been a product guy. So whenever I got laid off from there, building this ultimately just continued my product. It's me. I'm just doing more parts of the company now. I'm doing all the parts. I'm doing the product. I'm doing the design. I'm doing the coding. There's so many AI tools now that if I don't quite understand something, there's something there that will help me figure out whatever the case is whenever it comes to coding. It's incredible how far technology has come. You don't have to even really be a coder per se or an engineer to build some stuff. And so, I just been around it long enough that I think that I got a pretty good grasp on. And frankly, some stuff it takes me probably longer to do than maybe other people would that have that sort of background and that kind of stuff. But I'm just so hell bent on that I can do it that if it takes me longer because I don't have that natural like engineering or coding background, I got so many of the other backgrounds part of me that I get there eventually. So yeah, I've always been a nerd. I would say is probably the best since I was a kid. So that's my background.
You were talking about the AIs. A lot of it, like people say the vibe coded thing. Do you do that type of thing, or you like actually go in there and like technically know what you're doing?
I would say it's a mixture of both. To say that I know what I'm doing on anything, I feel like it's hard sometimes, because sometimes I feel like on any particular day I'm winging what my life looks like. It's that whole thing of like, I know enough to be dangerous, right? I know enough to know that like, if I start coding something myself at this point, then it's gonna help me fix it. And if it starts to do something and I see that it's doing something wrong, where I can look at it and go, that's not right either. So it's probably a little bit of both.
Yeah. It's probably interesting to you that like you started this for free and now it's kind of like taken off a bit and like you're making money from it and everything. How was that journey about like, was it hard to end up charging the money for it? And now has it changed to where you're like, okay, this could be something really big in the future?
All of the above. It's all of that. I mean, it was a, I think that if I would never have lost a job, Oink wouldn't exist in the way that it exists now, right? It was really because one, in order, for me to start, a lot of the people that initially started to subscribe to it and pay for the monthly thing, I think we're doing it to support me. And because I really was putting and I still do put out a lot of videos, just trying to teach people how the program works. And I would build then on top of it based off of like, the feedback and things that I was getting. I had no concept that it would be, at this point. And there was definitely parts of me that struggled with, I don't think I struggled as much with like the charging part for it because again, I got to keep the initial functionality for free, which I had told people that I was going to keep. I was able to then those that wanted to upgrade, then I was able to then give them special things for the sake of upgrading. I think the thing that I was surprised by for myself was the pressure that I felt because I want to be a good steward of people's money, right? That people are paying for a thing now, and I want to make sure that my original intention stays intact with that, and if not, like even more than my original thing. Like I want to make sure it's not just a matter of it working correctly for me, which I always want to try to keep on top of that stuff and fix the stuff. I mean, I get a report every day. Sometimes I got now 3,000 users, so I get multiple kind of different things coming in per day. And so I want to make sure to fix those quick, but it's also a matter of like I want to like make sure that people are winning with it. Aside from the thing working, because I'm charging, I want it to matter. I want the tool to ultimately make a difference for people. And like a lot of times, and some people will probably tell you in the group, multiple times a week, I end up jumping on calls with people, either that I see post something sometimes in the group that just strikes me as like they need some help, and I'll reach out like, hey, you want to jump on a call? People that reach out if they had a tech issue, whatever, and I'm working with them. And I'm like, hey, you want to jump on a call real quick for 30 minutes? I mean, since you got me, let's see if I like. My goal has ultimately always been help, and that's what before this thing I said I'm not a big Oink promoter. I want my help and support to be the promotion of anything that I end up doing, and so that would be my only thing I would say probably I have now that I didn't before, is that I am aware of how important it has become for people. And because of that, I probably put a lot. It's a strangely, maybe I'll get used to it over time. This is still a pretty. It started I think 5 months ago or something. I feel an immense amount of pressure to make sure that people that are using it, that it benefits them, again, even outside of the tech part of it and working correct. But like I really want it to move the needle for people. So. And frankly, for me too, I mean, it picked me up off the ground whenever I got laid off. Like that, the layoff thing was something that I knew was possible at that point, but because I had been there for so long, and my brother still works there. He's an engineer, and he's the one he was number 3, I think, in the company. So we've been doing that together for a long time. And you lose a lot of friends. I mean, don't lose them, but that was harder for me, I think, mentally than I expected. And frankly, the support and the nice things that people and seeing people winning and saying, "Here's how this has helped me," and then putting numbers in front of that. And on a personal note, it kind of picked me up off the ground a little bit, and because that hit me harder than I thought it was going to, even though I understood it from a business standpoint. And so I'm really thankful. I'm really thankful for like where it's at. And I don't know what it turns into from this point going forward. I got some stuff in the works right now. Literally have a computer behind me that got turned around so nobody can see what I'm testing on it currently. Just trying to kind of. I want to continue to grow it in a way where it matters. That's the only thing that I think that I'm concerned about. I think that it's easy to come up with features or different things that people could use for packing it, right? I've done some SEO stuff in the past where I'll have a tool for whatever the thing is, and I'm like, I don't even know what most of this stuff does, and I think most of it does nothing. So I've really tried to be careful. Like if people are willing to like invest in the extension, i.e. investing in me and where I'm trying to lead them and things, I want to continue to make sure that they can get the most out of it. So like I said, I'm an influencer first. I think that I see through those eyes more than I see through as like I'm not sure what my title in the thing is now, but an extension guy or somebody that's trying to get somebody to purchase a thing, like, because I think I'm one of them ultimately, whenever it comes down to it.
I could definitely attest to that, because from my take as an influencer, like you've built it like very strategically. Like I feel like every feature or YouTube video release is just like something like super helpful versus like a vanity metric or like a feature that like could kind of matter but like really doesn't. And it's always very like, I think you just do a really good job explaining stuff. And I would say you're definitely like a steward for sure. Like just the daily fetch alone, this like the last 6 months probably already paid for 3 years.
Yeah.
Of the extension. So I mean, like when you look at something like that, like the daily fetch alone is just absolutely insane how much money it's made.
I appreciate that. And part of it for me too is go back to being an influencer first. You say I'm really not very organized with how somebody asked me the other day, do I have a roadmap on something? I'm just like, no, absolutely no roadmap on anything, because it's hard. Because again, one, I'm going off the feedback of the people that are working. Now I got enough eyes and ears out there that are in the program that whenever they have a pain point, I usually hear about it pretty quick.
If you could just take 2 seconds and subscribe to this YouTube channel, we would greatly appreciate it. We're trying to get to 5K subscribers by the end of the year, and the more subscribers we have, the better guests we can get for you. So you literally just take 2 seconds right now, hit subscribe. It will also let you know when new episodes go live and everything we're up to. Thank you so much.
But also, I build a lot of the stuff that I put in the extension because of my own. You remember I said I built this for myself early on. So a lot of the stuff that I'm putting in here are things that I think move the needle. One of the last ones that I put in was there's a little thing on the upload screen. And John, you know, it's like if you're uploading your video, you type in your title and you tag your products and all that. And it just struck me like 2 weeks ago that I was just like, look, I'm typing a title in here, but I have no idea what the other titles are right now on this. Like, what is everybody? Because if I type on here everything you need to know about this, to me, I go, genius, great title, Fizz. But I don't know. What if there's some other dingling that already has a title that goes everything that you should know about? And now I've just sent my title, my video off that I worked so hard on to the carousel where there's another title that looks exactly like mine. And if I had just taken a second to check, I would have avoided that and come up with a more unique title. And so one of the last things I put in was just a quick title check at the point of upload. You click the little T button and it checks to see what videos are currently already on there. And it tells you the titles of each one. So whenever you type your title in, you don't have to worry about overlapping somebody with almost an identical title. And it's saved me multiple times since then. And that was just something that in real time on one video I was uploading, I went, oh, wait a minute. What if somebody else, after, I've done 3,000 videos at this point, and it just finally struck me of, I better start. And so once I realized that, I was just like, this is perfect, because now nobody has to ever upload another video again and worry if there's another title that looks just, and again, you're in a carousel competing, right? You make these videos to be in that carousel. That's the whole point of the whole thing, is like, you want to be on that product page. And so if you think about that, then the natural step should be, well, if it gets to that carousel, I want to make my video as clickable as possible. I want to make it the one that they choose. And if you're not taking an extra second to check what the competition is already doing there, then you are falling short of like your due diligence of who you're competing against. Nobody does any business without knowing who they're competing against, except me. I was doing it all the time, apparently, until I realized that I was really kind of messing up here. And so that's a lot of the stuff that I come up with is feedback from the community, but it's also just me working through these things and just going like, oh, wait a minute, I see a gap here. And sometimes nobody else notices it. You know what I mean? Like, we've been doing some of this stuff over and over and over again. We've been typing out the title or whatever for, the last couple of years. We don't think sometimes that there's an opportunity. And then sometimes every once in a while, because I'm just in my brain going, is there anything here that I can make better? Sometimes something will just hit me kind of like that. So I do try to put stuff in there and try to, ultimately, that's the best promotion for me, is if people will say, or people can say, that Oink helped me earn more in the program. Perfect. That's all I'm trying to get.
And I will say too, there's like a lot of little features like that too, that I feel like, when you talk roadmap, like, where it's just like something so simple for me, it doesn't happen that often, but it's like, oh, if Amazon flags a video, like as soon as I log on, it just pops up, hey, like, there's a video and that needs attention. Like, I'm never in the needs attention tab, but it's like, oh, like, is that something that like a huge selling point, like that would really get me to go? Maybe not, but like, it's just really nice and super thoughtful, because you're probably like, oh, it's super. My dad just started, I got him going, and he's like, where are my videos? And I'm just like, show me your manage, and they're all like flagged, like he's showing his blood pressure on his machine, and like I was like, you can't do like, but like if he had like the Oink extension, it'd be like, hey, like, go check, like 5 of your videos are like messed up. So just little stuff like that.
You're right. It's not something that is worth promoting on itself, like that. Even like that one's a really good example of that, right? And that was one that came to me one particular day. I just happened to be looking and managed for something else, and I saw one get rejected, and it just hit me in the moment of just like, man, it would be great to have known that sooner. And that was all that I had. That was all that I needed to go, I'll just make sure people know it as soon as they get on it. And it's, nobody's going to sign up for that particularly, but I think for me that goes into like, it's a support thing, right? Support to me isn't always about just fixing when something's wrong. It's like, I mean, like if something technically is wrong, it's also about like making sure people's storefronts, their content needs to be viable. It needs to be active. And if any of their videos is not for some particular reason, then they're not making any money on that. And that to me is just as important. If I can point the finger at those things and highlight those things, that's just as valuable as creating brand new content, right? You're getting a product in because and I say this a lot of times, maybe more valuable because you already made the content. Now you're just got a video sitting there that's doing nothing for you. If something comes in the door today, I got to go shoot the content, I got to upload the content, etc. But if I can revive something, if I can Lazarus something from the dead, that's extremely, and it's the stuff that people haven't paid attention to traditionally. And so, yeah, I'm just trying to highlight things from a support standpoint. It's not a bell and a whistle, but it might be a little bit of a whistle, but it's, just to make sure that the whole ecosystem is of value.
Is that this might be a hard question, but is there one specific feature here that you think like outshines everything? Or like what's the biggest ROI people get on like one feature? You hear the most, oh, this thing's awesome. I can't believe that you've created this type of thing on here.
I know John would probably agree with me. There's a thing called the daily sales fetch thing. That's your predominant, your most direct line between what you're already doing and putting more money in your pocket in the program. That's probably, I'd say probably the easy answer. Economically, that's the one that is making probably the biggest impact. There are a couple of features in it that I think are fun and for me underrated in that, like that do make a difference. Like I implemented something not long ago. So at that same upload screen where you're tagging your product and you type in your title and everything in, I set it up to automatically check creator connections, which Drew, I know you don't know what that is exactly, but it's like an additional program within Amazon Influencer or within Amazon in general that you can earn extra commissions from basically, but you have to know that there's a thing for you over there, a campaign for you. And so this thing at the point of upload will check in creator connections to see if that product has a campaign for it at that moment, versus normally what you'd have to do is later you'd have to go back over to creator connections and either remember that you needed to check for it or go through a process to do a checking thing. And so like stuff like that for me is fun to build because it takes something that nobody had really thought of. And again, that one also just struck me in the moment where I was just like, man, I'm so tired of uploading a video and then later having to go back and check for a campaign because sometimes I'd forget and a day would pass or something like that. And then I've lost a day of potential extra commissions. So there's stuff like that in there for me where as a whole, those things end up creating commission opportunity. The daily fetch thing is the most direct line, but I'm really trying to kind of create this ecosystem where it's all the peripheral stuff as a whole ends up creating support for that additional commission, even though you may not be able to look at it and go, this month I killed it because of that accept campaign button. Nobody would ever be able to look directly at that on the upload page, but if they can look at the whole thing at the end of it, they're going to mostly, right now, they're going to point to like the creator connections, the daily fetch, the storefront check, all these different things, the most direct things. But a lot of these other things are contributing as well. So, my pride is probably trying to make it well-rounded, and trying to make sure that it's really just, the Oink is just like a nice hug for an Amazon influencer. It just comes in and it's just like, I got you. I got wherever you're at in here, then you've got some support. Even though some of it is more glamorous, maybe than other parts of it, and more easy to identify. I want every part of this. That's why I also included the Canada and UK checks to help people build those storefronts off of their US storefront. It's why I'm pushing for more YouTube repurposing stuff. I got a feature right now that I've got it grayed out. Nobody can click it right now. But if you go into the extension under other actions on the storefront, there's a thing that says repurpose YouTube video, and it's not active yet because I'm testing it. And I'm trying to create something even beyond the influencer program, right? Now that I'm trying to kind of push over towards to YouTube, because one of the things I've learned, and you guys can identify, I'm sure, with this is, you're playing in somebody else's playground with any of this stuff, whether it's Amazon, whether it's blogging with Google, whatever the thing is, and you are always at the mercy of whatever that program is doing at that particular time. And I want to help people kind of recognize, one, I want them to be successful in the Amazon influencer program, but two, to get them to start thinking about it. Sometimes it can be bigger than that. Once you build your foundation in the influencer program, then use that as your go ahead to start looking at, okay, now it's time to start building the YouTube channel or whatever the case ends up being. So, I'm awfully proud of the thing, something that did not exist and then now exists. And like I said, over 3,000 total users, more people signing up every day. I'm really proud of it. And honestly, been really proud of the community. I mean, I've had some extremely helpful people as far as helping each other, people that have helped me by giving me feedback on different types of things. I said in my Facebook group, like this is a place of respect. Like, and if I catch you being disrespectful towards somebody else, which happens sometimes in the world, especially in Facebook groups, like I want it to be a place where people can go and feel like they can ask a question and not get pummeled because they didn't understand something that maybe everybody else seems to understand. Or and I've also made a rule of, like, in my Facebook groups, like, you can talk about other extensions. Like, my goal with the groups has always been people should discuss the things that matter in the program. It's not an Oink specific, even though it says Oink on the title. If things matter in the influencing world, if things matter in the Amazon affiliate associate world, I want them to be able to talk about that stuff freely. And if they end up choosing Oink in the end, awesome. And if they don't, great. Go make a ton of money somewhere else with somebody else's thing. Ultimately, that to me is the biggest testament of my help, not even what Oink does, but am I doing the thing that I set out to do originally, which was help people along? And that's kind of my goal with all this stuff.
If you're still listening to the podcast, thank you so much. It's just going to be me and Fizz for the next one. Drew had to drop off a little bit. Me and Fizz got really into it. We talk about thumbnails, his video making process. We really get into the weeds. Also, if you want to try Oink, there will be a link down below for you. So let's get into it. All right. What is kind of your video making process? Like, you get the stuff. What are you doing? Are you using any software? Like, I'm always interested. Like, we have people on. Like, now we're gonna get like deeper in the woods here.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so it goes back partially to product selection, right? I tried it before I even get it here. Part of the thing that I'm looking at whenever I'm deciding if I'm going to say yes to a product is what's it going to take for me to complete the video for it, right? Is because, every time that you say yes to a product, there's still a risk. Even if it's been selling, it could stop selling all of a sudden, right? And so you're always sort of like weighing what the potential risk is with each product and the benefit at the same time. And so I typically try to stay away from, at the selection standpoint, of anything that I feel like is overly involved. Because I learned my lesson one time, something I've said on a couple of my other videos on my YouTube channel, is like, somebody sent me a shoe rack once. It was awful. Awful. I mean, it was so bad. And I've only sent messages back to sellers twice in my 2.5 years doing this. And this was the first time where, after like 3 hours, and it was just like a plastic thing with like clips and stuff. And I sent them a message back and I was like, look, I finally got this assembled, but I am not saying one nice thing about it. I'm not going to say anything mean, but I'm literally going to say, this holds shoes. And that was like it was like one of my shortest videos I had done. And it never sold. And the fact that it didn't sell any was, like, to me, like, salt on the wound. And it was like one of my big things, like, you have to be more cognizant of the things you're spending time on, because I lost money, 3 hours worth of whatever I don't know what my time is worth, but whatever it is, I lost it on that. So that's one of the things is I really try to focus primarily on, first, prioritizing products that I can get here into my house, set them here by my desk. I mean, I don't even know if you can see all my boxes. I got a bunch of stuff going on back there. Put them here by my desk and open them, look at them for about a minute and a half to 2 minutes, because I don't do review videos. I want to be also very clear here that whenever I'm doing my videos for the Amazon Influencer Program, I do what I consider overview videos. I never pretend like I have firsthand experience with products. If I don't, I can see through that. There's a couple of telltales. I'll just give you this is my soapbox here. There's a couple of telltales. Whenever I see somebody say these phrases, I'm like, you don't know what you're saying exactly. One is, if somebody says on a product, I've had it for some time now. If you have zero estimate on how long that you've had that product for, that tells me you probably just got it in the mail, and that's the first thing you thought of. The other thing is, if they say, if they say really twice, I'm like, you don't know enough about this product to feel confident. You're trying to sell it. And a side note, I know there's some people out there that's not the case, but I feel like those are like my triggers. Yeah. So I get the stuff here. I look at it for a couple minutes. I've got this camera right here, and then I also have an overhead. I just use my iPhone and I use OBS, and I use it as my face will be in a small portion of it. And I really try to prioritize with the overhead, putting this into the middle of the overhead, right? So it's facing down on it. So I'm over here, down here in the corner. I'm like, and this will be like in the middle of the screen, but instead from overhead. And I really try to do pretty much everything in one shot. It doesn't usually go in one shot, but usually I can get it in a couple, especially minute and a half type of videos. I can get through those pretty good. And then I'll take that video. I'll just jump over to, I just use the standard editing thing that comes on the Mac. It's the iMovie. I'll make whatever cuts I need to make out of it. Somebody the other day said something really interesting, though. They said that whenever they're doing their talking, that whenever they mess up, they start over every time. And they said it's taken forever. And I was just like, just pick up where you left off. Just go back. So typically what I'll do is I'll start, and once I messed up, I know where I messed up at. I know where I was at. So I'll stop. I'll count myself right back in. 1, 2, 3. And I pick it up right back from there. That way you never have to start over. Sometimes I do if it just gets way too out of control and I'm messing up way too much. But you should never have to go back to the very beginning. Just pick up where you left off. It's a pretty simple process. My goal is to do is like one time I did probably 40 videos in a day, and I don't know if I ever got up from the seat. I had everything just sitting right here, picked up, looked at it, looked at what the buttons did, look what it was made of, look how heavy it was, did it smell weird, whatever the case was, came over here, was like, hey, this thing's not heavy and it doesn't stink at all, or whatever the case is. Like, here's what this button does, look at here, boop, 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 boop. And again, overview video. I'm describing the product. I'm not telling people, and I never with stuff that I don't have, if I don't have personal whatever, I never say I recommend it. And even if I do, I still don't love saying I recommend it. I feel like that puts me into like an area that I shouldn't probably be participating in. I usually end on my videos with something like, if you're looking for a power bank like this, well, this might be one that you want to put on your list to check out. Something very sort of like vague, and put that on the shoulders of the people that are watching. So I try to be very efficient with these things. Now, sometimes I have to go, like there's a remote control thing that I just did. I did a couple of those for Prime Day coming up, or we just had. Sometimes I know what I'm getting myself into, and that is just going to be what it's going to be. But I really try to focus on one, the opportunity, right? I look at the product. Does this have opportunity based off what we talked about earlier? Is it selling, and can the video be seen? And after that, it's like, what's the accessibility of doing this video? How difficult, how long is this going to take me to actually do this? And because I don't want to rob taking time away from other products either. That shoe thing took me 3 hours. I could have done a lot of other videos in 3 hours if I'd been smarter about my time. So that's my general setup. I don't have any fancy. Got a couple of lights here, in front of me. I got one behind me that shines on the wall, so that way it's not totally dark behind me. And that took a little bit of time to sort of develop, a little bit of. This is not my first scene. I ultimately ended up in here, despite all the trash I've currently got in the background right now. This is like my primary place I shoot. So I shoot from one place pretty much all the time. I always have a mic. If I'm not in this room, if I'm outside, if I'm in another room, I always have a lavalier mic on me. Actually, I got them right here. I use these DJI, these little ones. They work really well. And so if I'm in a room with a big ceiling that might echo, I hardly ever don't have a lavalier mic on me, just to make sure that the sound is good. I think that's one of the most important things that people miss, is that the video looks good, but if the video looks good and it sounds bad, people are going to most likely click off of it, because bad audio is hard to watch a video if you don't like the way that it sounds. So that's a long explanation. That's my general shooting setup.
Sweet. What's your kind of creator connection process? What are you looking for? What do you just scrolling manually? Are you using, what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, right now, so creator connections is it's in a weird place, because one, it's growing so fast, and coming up with a full-on strategy right now is tough, because I feel like we're just now getting a handle on where things are now at. I mean, I saw this morning, it's now 370 something thousand campaigns in there. I think it was 2 weeks ago. If you remove clothing from it, which I typically do, it was like 200 something thousand. So we've jumped a lot. I think that one of the things with creator connections that people need to remember is, one, it's the hot babe in the room, right? I mean, it's the thing where everybody's talking about because of the elevated commission rates that are associated with it. But there's a couple of takeaways with that. One is, you still have to have products that are converting. If you want creator connections to have any impact at all, the products that you're making content for still have to convert somewhere. You can't just accept campaigns and make money. You can't make videos on products that aren't selling and make money. You can accept every campaign on there, all 370,000, which I don't recommend. But if you wanted to, the products matter ultimately. And I literally was making a video about this for my daily briefing in the Facebook group a little while ago. Like, the product is the thing that matters most with this, and everything else like creator connections will fall into place with that. And I also think that because of that, because the product matters most, you still have to have a product on the Amazon side, not the creator connection side necessarily, but on the Amazon side, that's still a good, viable product. This still has opportunity for you to convert. I think right now, because of creator connections excitement, every day people are waking up and they're going straight to creator connections to start looking through campaigns, whatever the case was. 6 months ago or 8 months ago, that wasn't the case. Everybody would jump on and go into Amazon first, and then ultimately creator connections kind of took that over. But people need to keep in mind that two things. One is, campaigns end. And at the end of the day, once that campaign is over, you still have content for that product sitting there. And the better that product is at that point, the more viable it is. Once that campaign is over, you still want it to continue to earn. You don't want to put all of that on the shoulders of creator connections. So that's why it's still important to vet the products that you're working with in creator connections to make sure from the Amazon side that they still work. Selling, and you got to have a chance of being seen. Those are the only two rules. So if you check and make sure that those are the thing. The other thing is, because everybody's so excited and all horned up about creator connections, I think that there's an opportunity for people to zag while everybody else is zigging, right? What we were talking about earlier, which is few people now are going straight to Amazon and focusing on products that don't have a creator connections campaign, but they're still viable. I mean, there's still a lot of viable products on Amazon with no campaigns. I mean, I made a lot of money on products with no campaigns on them before creator connections took off, because I was choosing based off of those two metrics. So I think there's a real big opportunity there. And the thing is, just because they don't have a campaign on them right now on Amazon doesn't mean they won't. Amazon's pushing this thing like crazy. So there's a good chance that it eventually shows up with a campaign. And if you're the only one looking on Amazon for products without campaigns, because they're still good products, whenever that campaign shows up, you're in a really good position to do that. So I think there's a lot of opportunity because of all the focus on creator connections to for people to find products that nobody else is looking at right now, because everybody's looking at creator connections predominantly. But I mean, I spent a lot of time on there, and there's no doubt a lot of people are out earning now with creator connections than they are the regular AIP commissions. 8 months ago, I think we were talking about that as a possibility, and now it seems like it's becoming pretty commonplace. Very, very quickly that happened. I got some theories about that. I'm not sure if any of them are going to pan out or what that kind of looks like. But it's a very different a game, and I think there's a lot of different ways to win on creator connections. What I'm looking for, so I implemented. You may have seen on the creator connections thing. You scroll and you see all the pink boxes with the campaigns in them.
That's so
what I
helpful.
do.
So helpful.
It's not. Well, and the thing is, there's some viability on the other campaigns, just not as much. And I try to I'm trying to steer people towards the best opportunities possible and keep them away from middle gray area where they might not have a good of a chance of making any money. And so for me, typically what I'm doing is I'm scrolling. I'm only looking at those campaigns with the boxes, because those are the best opportunities based off of the commission rate and the end date. And if I see something that strikes me, I'm going to just click the button that I put on there. It says check product opportunities, and let it check everything inside that campaign real quick. And if any of them are selling, then I'll make a decision based off of what's selling. And if there's nothing selling in that campaign, I just say, okay, next. And I go to the next one and do the exact same over and over. I'm only typically focusing on campaigns that I don't look at the commission rate, honestly, ever. I think there are people that focus on commission rate. I just always sort it from the newest releases first and just start seeing what's new out there, because a 10%er is really good. And I know what happens. Everybody gets all crazy and excited for the 50 or the 40 or the 30, but a 10% over the standard, over, let's say a 2% on average over on the AIP side, you're talking about 5X with that commission rate. So 10 is really nice. So I love the 10%. But I never look at the commission rate. I just look at the opportunity. Is this thing selling? And is there a place for me to be seen? And if those two things are happening, then I'm happy with whatever commission rate that I end up getting off of the thing. So there's a lot of different things. And it's going to evolve over the next several months. I got a feeling that at the beginning of the year, we see a change coming from Amazon with the whole thing. I don't know what it is yet, but I feel like it's evolving too much for them not to make some more adjustments to it. I'm excited about it. I'm really interested to kind of see where the whole thing goes.
Yeah, I'm really excited too. It's really interesting because when I first started, there was no creator connections. It was kind of like, oh, you got to get in. No one knew how to get in. And then I got in, and then like 2 months later, like everyone was allowed in, and I was like, all right, like still excited to be in there, but like, okay, this is a little different.
I ended up getting in, and what was crazy was, well, part of that was also because too, when I got in, I posted a couple of links, like YouTube links or something, for some, I think it was like a neck harness for like working out stuff. And I made a couple dollars off of it. It was like nothing. And so at the time I went, this is stupid. I was like, this whole thing's stupid. Because what we didn't realize, or the majority of people didn't realize, and this is what really broke the whole thing open, was that on-site videos count. That was the big thing, because at the time we didn't know that. At the time we thought it was all off-site stuff. And as soon as word got out that, I remember even posting in a Facebook group, I was like, are you guys telling me that on-site works? I was very much, and they were kind of like, most of it was saying no. They're like, no, it's for off-site. And there's a couple people that jumped in. We're like, it does. And so once that word got out, that's what really made the whole thing take off, I think, was because now every influencer does creator connections. Whereas just a year ago, we all thought that it wasn't even for the influencer side. So nobody was, so I let it sit there for I bet 8 months doing nothing because I thought the whole thing was dumb. And in retrospect, you know, you can only kick yourself so many times. And not what I mean, we just didn't understand it. So that was really where a lot of the creator connections. I mean, it was originally made for offsite, right? That's what the whole purpose is. They wanted more and more people to drive traffic offsite to Amazon. And well, like I said, it wasn't only until recently they started including some of that verbiage in relation to creator connections specifically. And so they seem like they're interested in continuing to expand that. So I'm excited to see what happens with it.
What are your thoughts on thumbnails versus no thumbnails on videos?
Thumbnails, always. So I say this sometimes
I'll give a quick rant here. Like all the time, people are like thumbnails are dumb. I'd rather spend time making videos, and they're like,
Yeah.
I'm always like, I don't know. The thumbnails, I think it's important. Like, why does YouTube think it's so important? And when I
Yes.
look on a carousel, like you see like a blurry water bottle, or you see something like watch before you buy. Like, what are you gonna click? Like, what
Yes.
data do you have? I'm like, none. I think it's just common sense. But I'm interested to hear what you have to say.
I got a little bit of data. So back to your YouTube thing, there was a study they did a couple years ago that found that out of like the their top whatever they consider top performing videos, I don't even know what their qualifier for that, but it was over 90% had custom thumbnails on it. So I'll listen to YouTube when it comes, you know what I mean? Like that's even if there's nothing else. If YouTube goes, yeah, just so you know, like 9.2 out of 10 of our top performing videos have custom thumbnails, I'm going to do what they say to do. So that's the first, because the problem is the people that are saying that to you and me that are like, we don't like custom thumbnails. You know who's saying that is the other influencers. We don't have the target demographic here. What they're looking, what we're targeting, go back to what we said earlier about our goal with the on-site videos is to be in that carousel. And if you think about yourself in that carousel and competing, right? There's 4 other dinglings with me. There's 5 dinglings now in total in this carousel. And I need to be putting my best foot forward in order to, if they're going to click one, if I'm lucky enough to get that click, then fantastic, because they got a lot of options to choose from, right? And so I'm trying to get somebody to pay attention to me. That's why coming up with an engaging title is important and an engaging thumbnail. I did my own sample size of this, and I can't remember if this was last year, and I don't even remember what the sample size was. It was a smaller sample size, but I took, I want to say maybe 200 videos, maybe 200 products. I don't remember what it was, maybe 70 products, but I took a bunch of products where the carousels were totally full, and I checked all of the videos on all of those products. And I found that when the carousels were full, that it was like 72% of the time that the number one slot out of those 5 influencer videos had a custom thumbnail. And so over 7 out of 10 times. And then out of the rest of the carousel, that custom thumbnails, and I qualified that, I had to do this manually. I qualified it by any zhuzh on the picture, an arrow, a text, whatever the thing was. And the rest of the carousel was like 60 something percent of the time. Custom thumbnails outranked those that did not have custom thumbnails. Now, I don't think it's specifically because it's custom. I don't know if Amazon has a way to be able to determine that, but it might be more indicative of one. Maybe they have a higher click-through rate because of the custom thumbnail, and maybe bleeding. So I think there's a possibility there. It might also be that the people making custom thumbnails are just maybe spending more time on their videos overall, so maybe they have a better conversion rate. I don't know. All I know is I saw what the numbers were. I had started my program 2.5 years ago doing a custom thumbnail for everything. I stopped because I was like, this is doing nothing. I'm wasting my time here. One, because I was making a custom one for every single video, which I don't recommend. I'll explain that in a second. But whenever I did that data analysis and then I saw all the thing that YouTube put out, I was like, it matters. And whenever I think about myself on that carousel and I'm vying for the click, it matters. I don't think people should go crazy with them. You have to continue to make sure that you center the product in the middle, right? So if somebody's looking for information on this power bank, I want to make sure that even if my face is here, where am I? I can't really, I'm just like, my face should not be right here and this down here. This is too much of this and not enough of this. So whenever people create their custom thumbnails, highlight the thing that the thing is about. So the person that has questions, which is why they're watching your video anyways, are looking to have some questions answered. They know you're going to be talking about this thing that's right here. Now, the way that you end up, because efficiency becomes important here, right? So what I do is I have like 2 templates. I got them saved over on Canva. It's basically the same thumbnail, almost every single video that I do. All I got to do is whenever I'm shooting my video, like in real time, I'll do a quick, like, whatever thing, because I'm going to freeze frame that thing, whatever the case is, and I'm going to take it. I'm just going to drop that over another template. I'm not typing anything new out. I'm not changing. I might have to move an arrow a little bit depending on where the product had to be. And that's it, because I don't think that it's of any value to create unique thumbnails for every piece of content that you got. The creative types in us go, we should, but nobody cares about other thumbnails. our target is the person that's watching our video on that carousel. They have no concept what any of our other videos. They don't know what else we're doing. We can have no other videos. They don't care. But you know what they want to know is this thing heavy? And I'm going to click this one video and see if they answer this question. So we see this as our storefront full of videos with the same thumbnail, and we think, oh, that's awful. But nobody goes to our storefront. I mean, very, very few amount of people go to our storefront. Most of us aren't driving people to our storefront. Some people are that are doing some offsite stuff with idealists and things like that, but most of the on-site people are not. So I do think people should be doing thumbnails. I do think people should be smart. Don't overly judge them. Just center the thing, put a little bit of text somewhere, maybe a small arrow, and create something efficient. So you're using the same one over and over and over, because nobody is ever going to see your other videos and go, Fizz has the same, he's got the same thumbnail in every video. Like, what a dork. Nobody cares. Nobody's even going to know about my other videos. So don't worry about that. The other thing though is they're valuable, because what I do with every single thumbnail that I do is I upload it secondarily as an Amazon shoppable picture. Every single video that I do, I take that same thumbnail and I upload that picture. I tag that same product, because pictures do get clicks, not as many as a video, but a click on a picture that converts to a sale makes you the same amount of money as a view on a video that converts into a sale, with really no extra work that you're doing, because you already made the thumbnail for the actual video anyways. So always upload it secondarily after you've done the video, and just tag the picture, send it on its way.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm the same exact way. Like, as soon as I open up, I just hold this, like, try to make a funny face, and like knowing that I'm just gonna like screenshot that out and then just drop it into the Canva template. Because a lot of the times too, it's like Amazon pulls the worst image.
It's
And
the
I
word,
want
well,
them to know that like I actually open this. It's not
yeah.
the box, or I'm like, it's like, all right, he's drinking the water. Like, he's obviously gonna be talking about this.
Yeah.
So I really like that. Can you go a little more into the pictures? Like, why should someone upload a picture, and what's kind of that?
Yeah,
All about?
and very quickly, back to your thing about the bad thumbnail that happens. You're right, because sometimes they're so bad, people can't tell what you're doing. You're right. And again, if you're competing against 4 other videos, somebody has a question about this power bank, and they're looking at your thumbnail, and it's something blurry because it was something moving, and they can't even see what, like, they're not going to click. So you had a shot, and you just lost commission, right? Because you didn't take a second to even if you don't put an arrow, even if you put no text, minimally focus the picture and centralize the product in it, and make sure that that's the focus of the thumbnail, so the person who wants to know more about that product knows if they click on it. So Amazon promotes those pictures somewhere. There was somebody in one of the Facebook groups that ended up getting like 40-something thousand clicks on one of their pictures that they uploaded to their storefront, and Amazon puts them somewhere. We're seeing little things of them. I had a friend of mine that sent me a screenshot from his phone, and it was a picture, one of the pictures I had uploaded of a shirt. He's like, why are you on this Amazon listing of it? And I was like, honestly, I have no idea, but I'm glad you sent me that, because I didn't even know where these pictures. So Amazon is putting them places, whether it's on mobile or whether it's on certain pages, like after you've checked out, maybe there might be some pictures at the bottom, but whatever the case is, I don't know. All I know is that once you start uploading your pictures, and you go into your dashboard under the manage video section and you filter it by pictures, you're going to start to see clicks. Not a lot. Sometimes some will say 1, sometimes they'll say 4, sometimes it'll say 10, sometimes it'll say 40,000, or whatever the case is. And those are free. It's free. And actually, Amazon just made an update like 2 weeks ago to the shoppable picture upload system, where if you like, because sometimes people do collages, right, with multiple different products in it. So they actually changed that process. And so now you can select in the little thumbnail preview, put a dot on this and tag this product. So then when other people are looking at it later, they know exactly where the products are that you tagged within the picture. Mm-hmm. And so that to me was a sign that Amazon is interested in shoppable pictures, or else they wouldn't have just put this new thing out to try to make them better for the user's experience, who are looking at a collage with a bunch of different. So there's value in it, and Amazon seems to think there's some value in it too, or else they wouldn't have rolled this new feature out for it.
Makes sense. I have 2 more questions.
Please.
What do you think is the biggest mistake people make? And what do you have 3,000 users. What do you see the people who are most successful versus not successful? What is the difference?
Product pipeline, underestimating the importance of it is I'm going to be talking a lot about this, I think, in the next couple of weeks. And because it is, nothing else matters in the program. There's no tool that can save you. There is no campaign that can make you enough money if your product pipeline dries up. It is what it is. The program requires, and this goes back to kind of what we were saying a little bit earlier too, about the people that are coming in, right? The influx of people is, I've kind of had this philosophy that you have to be able to not just stay in front of the people that are chasing us. Like the horde is what I always try to enunciate that D. It's the horde of people that are coming in. It's not just about staying in front of them, but it's about outpacing them, drawing space between, and there's a lot of them coming in. They're chasing down your products that you're making videos for, right? We have to continue to, at a decent velocity, right? A good upload velocity of continuing to create content for product that moves the needle. And if we don't, and if we start looking around for other things to save us, I said this earlier, that's the hardest problem in the program to solve, because there's no answer for the product pipeline thing, right? I think I said that. You have to come up with a solution for this. Where are these products going to come from? The products that matter. How do you get 5 of them in every single day? Which to a lot of people is going to sound like a lot. Sounds like a lot to me, and I've been around for a while still. But you have to work towards solving that problem. Because if you don't, it doesn't matter how many times you run the daily sales thing in Oink. It doesn't matter how many campaigns you accept. You can accept all 377,000 of them right now. You have to have at its core the Amazon Influencer Program products that are converting, and you have to be doing that at enough of a speed, and not crazy. You're not going to you're not going to go so fast that you're going to implode and spontaneously combust, but you have to be strategic about being consistent and go. This isn't a thing about the passive income and, I sat back today and I made XYZ. Cool. But in a couple days, you're going to feel the impact of that, because that's going to slow down and you're going to see the repercussions, because while you took that time off, other people showed up and they were doing the work. Not that you can't take time off, but you can't assume that that's what this program is. And so for me, this is the number one thing that I say on my coaching calls. I'm like, literally, the video that I was making before this to upload to the Facebook group, I'm talking a lot about product pipeline right now, because it's the thing. People want to solve other problems because this one is so hard to solve. They think that, well, if I can just get more campaigns, if I can just run daily fetch more, if I fix all my parent ASINs, which don't get me started about parent ASINs, that's going to fix something. And it's not. The product pipeline, I actually just released a thing called the Piggy Planner. I don't know if you had a chance to see it, but it's like basically a day-by-day walkthrough for people that don't know what they're supposed to be doing on any particular day. And it basically says, here's what days you should be doing these different things. And after the first 2 creator connections checks, it goes right into like product pipeline stuff, messaging brands, doing product research, because, and that's before anything else really in the program, because you have to solve that problem. Everybody has to internalize this, that you have to be working on your product pipeline every single day. And I don't care what kind of bump you've gotten off of creator connections this week. If you did not upload any videos this week, then your numbers are going to come down probably in a couple weeks. Not for good, but you have to stay consistent with uploading videos that matter. So I think that's the number one mistake that influencers are making, is they're not putting enough importance or effort and energy on creating that consistency of products that are coming in that actually move the needle. And they're so focused because of tools like mine and the other tools that are out there, right? We make it easy to do a lot of stuff and we can keep people busy, but that is sometimes a misrepresentation of your actual growth in the program. Busy does not necessarily mean that you're getting somewhere. And so I would just implore everybody, just focus on that every single day. Even if it's 5 minutes, work on trying to get some new products in. It's a hard answer for everybody because nobody's answers are going to be the same. Your answers, my answers, because it depends on your finances, it depends on your family situation, your time that you got available, and we're all different. But you have a couple of primary ways to get products in, and you have to figure out which one is it going to be. And there's not a lot of other answers to that. It's like you can buy stuff or you can get it as collaboration samples. You might be able to find enough friends and family that will tolerate you for a day and go, but that stuff's not infinite. They're going to run out of stuff eventually. You have to have new stuff coming in all the time. And because of that complexity of that answer, a lot of people don't solve it, and then they look and they stall out in the program when they could have been successful if they just knew that. So long answer, that's my answer.
No, I think that's a really good point too, because that's where a lot of people get stuck. I did everything by my house, creator connections, like I'm getting all this stuff, but like it's not ranked, I can't resell it, all this stuff. And that's a lot of what I'm working on now, is like kind of partnerships with brands and kind of working through that, kind of relying on the stats that I've made with the influencer program to pitch them on sending me stuff for free, and even buying stuff. Like the other day I bought, well, it was like 6 months ago, a trash can that we used for the dog's poop or whatever. $30 trash can, made like $300 off of it, just because there was 3 influencers, and I was like, all right, this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, there's viability in all of it, right? There are product opportunities in all of it. It's just, obviously buying stuff, there's a risk of If it doesn't work out, then you don't make your money back, or whatever the case is. But it also gives you the most control over the types of products that you can participate with. You see something for $50 on Amazon and you think I can make money off of this, they'll send it to you if you have $50 in your pocket, right? There's no qualifier. The collaboration sample stuff is viable because you don't have that risk, right, of investing your own money up front into it. But you're also at the mercy of, will somebody even pay attention to me and send it to me? Will they even see my message? And if they do, are they even going to send it to me? And when are they going to send it to me? But those are your two primary pathways to getting products. So there's not a lot of places to look. So you have to figure out, well, what is it? What is that going to end up being, with the understanding of the ups and downs of both sides of that? That's why it is a complicated thing, I think, to answer. Some people, I think, don't get it. It just naturally ends up coming to them, right? If you stay focused on it, like, things sort of reveal themselves in a way. There's a lot of people that are going to watch this and go like, well, I don't know what my answer is. I'm screwed. It's not a matter of like knowing what the answer is right now. It's a matter of being cognizant of what it is you're trying to accomplish and working towards whatever that solution is at any given time. Because look, for a while, mine was only investing. Now it's probably 50-50, right? And so it's not a thing that you have to like go, this is me, Fizz does this. It's like, well, where am I at right now? And what does that strategy look like for me? With the idea that it's probably going to evolve over time, but you have to be focused on it to find something that actually is moving you forward.
That makes a lot of sense. I know I want to ask about the parent ASIN, but we're running up against time here. Or do you want to talk about the parent ASIN?
Do I?
How important is the parent ASIN? Because there's a lot of talks. Like, when I first started, I'll be honest, I did not tag any parent. Partly because there wasn't a way to do it. Let's just say that. Now there's a lot of talk, like, you gotta tag the parent. Like, if you don't tag the parent, you're an idiot. Like, talk a little about the parent ASIN and kind of like what that means, or what it does not mean.
So I originally put out a video about this last March, and it was called The Power of the Parent. And because what I saw was that I could not, and I just did this on a very small sample size for a test for the video, I could not tag the product directly. So like, let's say, for example, that this is the orange, but let's say there was 5 different colors of this, right? So I did a test and I did a couple different things where I just only tagged the parents, right? I didn't even tag the thing. And I got placement on all those listings, right? On all of the variations of the listing. And so I was just like, wow, this does work, because it seems to give Amazon a nod of like, hey, this is actually all of these things, even if the color is different or the size different, if it's a clothing or whatever the case is, it's actually the same. And Amazon seemed to honor that, at least in most cases, if I remember right. Shortly after I made that video, they changed the tagging process for that. And so before, what you could do is you could actually just take the parent ID and paste it into the recently browsed whenever you're doing your uploading, and it would populate like anything else that you're trying to tag. And they changed it like literally like right after I put my video out, which was like, perfect. Thank you for doing that, Amazon. And so which was interesting, because on one hand, it was almost seemed like maybe an indication of like something that it wasn't supposed to necessarily be for that, but it still does work, because if you click on the parent and it opens up in a new tab, you can still tag it. So it was more of a shuffle over on how you have to tag the parents. But if you're looking at it critically and maybe analytically, you might go, maybe that was like also Amazon's way of saying that like it maybe parents aren't supposed to be tagged in the end, or they don't think that they're viable for tag. You still can, but maybe they're not. It's not what they want out of the program. And so, but it works, right? And so, I think that I'm at a point with the parents. One, I never did go back through in time and update anything. I've been asking people not to do that, and some people that I really like have done that, and they said they saw a bump out of that, and so I have to take them at their word for that. I'm not in it enough. I don't want to do that for myself, because one, if I got a lot of good placements, and if you do that, if you change your tagging, you got to put it back, those videos back through the Amazon submission process, and they have to reapprove it. And some of them are going to come back and get rejected, because like Amazon, it's happening. Like Amazon AI will pick up on something it didn't the first time. Now you got a broken video, which was not broken before. And I just don't think that the bump is going to be there enough for me, and I'm not willing to risk all those placements being lost. But I also think that there's a world where Amazon removes all parent tagging altogether. They just basically, it'll be gone, right? So all of a sudden you look at your storefront, and it's not like a negative impact thing. It's just all of a sudden like not viable for anything. So one is like, if you're going to do it, and I still do it. I still do it on videos that I make going forward, if I think that it makes sense, right? If you're going to do it, always tag the primary video. That one that I made for my original, I went back and I tagged the direct product, and also, Because one thing is parent IDs don't qualify in creator connections. So if you're only tagging parent IDs and you're going over to creator connections doing your checks and you're like nothing's showing up because parent ASINs don't work in creator connections. Direct product tagging does. So always make sure you tag the direct product at least. If you're going to use the parent, make sure that when there's variations, I don't do it if there's not variations. If there's not variations on the product, I don't ever do there's a few small arguments of people that do that in case another color shows up later and they deactivate your color. Not worth my time. I just do the one that I've currently got. But if you're going to tag a parent, be cautious. Some people have asked me to create an auto tag system for parents. Like, so if I was uploading, I tag this, that the parent would magically show up in the tagging as well. Problem is, a lot of these listings they've got now have other products on the listing, right? So for example, a good example would be this one's an orange one, 3,000 watts, or I don't know what the number is. And they might have another orange one that's 7,000 watts or something. Those you should not be using the parent. I don't care if they look the same or not. Those are different products at its core. And some of them are wildly different products. Sometimes it's not just a matter of like wattage. Sometimes they'll literally have very different products on listings. So one, tag the product directly always. Two, only tag the parent if it makes sense. If every other variation on there is either just a different color or a different size whenever it comes to clothing. Almost anything else, there's no use for the parent ASIN whatsoever. And it does have some value, right? On those situations, if I tagged a large shirt and a parent ASIN, the large shirt goes out of stock for whatever, that's not a guarantee that Amazon's going to continue to keep me placed, but at least I'm trying to give them an indicator of like, this is actually the same product, Amazon. You go ahead and keep me here, even though the large is out. So I don't think it's a big money making thing. I think it's more about infrastructure. And we were talking earlier about some of the features that are more about creating stability and foundation. To me, a lot of these parents are never going to be any help. The products are never going to go out of stock. It's not going to make any difference. It's just more there just in case something happens with the listing or that particular thing that you've got. So I've only done it. And to be honest, most of the people that I have participated with that are doing this at a very high level, if they are doing parent ASINs, they did not go back through their old stuff. They've only implemented it on their stuff going forward, and only in these situations where there are multiple variations and only if it's a color difference or a size difference, but they're very, very cautious in using it. So does it have value? Yes. Is it worth somebody losing any sleep over? Absolutely not.
All right. We will end with that. Thank you so much for being here. Where can people find you?
Well, that's honestly, it's you can go to oinkforinfluencers.com. The extension is there if you wanted to check out the extension. You can also, to be honest, the Facebook group, it's Oink for Influencers. It's the Facebook group. There's a free one for most people, and then there's a subscriber only one that's a little bit more strategic and some things in there. YouTube, you can find me at Oink for Influencers, I think is what it's called on there. I'm not exactly, if you probably Google Oink for Influencers, you'll find me pretty easy. Or you can always email me, help@oinkforinfluencers.com if you got any questions about anything. But no, man, thank you for asking me to do this. I like talking about the program, as you can tell. Like it was
a blast. I learned a ton. Like, subscribe, go check out Fizz's stuff, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace. Thanks so much for listening to the episode. If you are pumped and want to get approved for the Amazon Influencer Program, check out this video. I break down how I got my dad approved for the program using TikTok. We go over the 3 videos we made, why I think he got approved with, 100 followers or something on TikTok. So check out that video. And again, thanks for watching, like, and subscribe.